We'd like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for the support so far on this project. It means the absolute world to us.
However, we've noticed that around 75% of you who listen and watch the show haven't yet hit the subscribe or like button.
So in order for this community to grow and allow us to build this project, we have a small request from you.
Please hit the subscribe or like button on the app that you're listening on or watching this show. Your commitment... What were you laughing at? I did a really good job, didn't I? Right, do another one. Please hit the subscribe or like button on the app you're watching or listening this show. Listening this show.
Remember to smile.
I'm always smiling.
You weren't.
Was I not? Stop it. Kelly's fucking waiting for us outside, bro.
Composed. Right, let's do it.
Please hit the subscribe or like button on the app you're listening to or watching this fucking show. Right, come on, just one more. Please hit the subscribe or like button. Your commitment is our commitment.
Let's do this.
Fuck off, come on, more.
Yeah, I'm not going to cheeseball it up, but I'll go, let's do this.
That'll do. We're rolling.
We're in.
Oh, we're in. So do cans.
This one mine?
Make sure your mic's like up against your mouth. Yeah,
How was it, George?
Yeah.
yeah that's great.
Good.
Yeah, we're in. Are we rolling? We're rolling.
We're rolling. We're in.
Check.
Let's go.
Let's go. James Dexter, welcome.
Hi guys.
How you doing, mate?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
really good. I believe that I have rearranged and rearranged and changed the date a couple of times now.
Couple of times,
I mean,
yeah.
we'll say a couple. I think it might have been more than that. So, firstly, I want to thank you very much for coming. We finally got to do it. But yeah, how's everything your end? Good?
Good, mate. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm glad that we finally got it locked in.
Yeah, finally.
yeah. No, I'm happy.
Pete obviously has never met you before. We've known each other for years, but never did we even really cross paths on the road because we were doing kind of different music, right? We're doing different shows.
Yeah, I don't think we did actually cross paths on the road at all. It was more from the loop party that you guys did back in Newcastle.
In Newcastle.
So, yeah.
You know what? I didn't even write that down because I'd actually forgot about the loop stuff. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
because a lot of the time I was doing the loop stuff, it was...
You was in a loop.
I was in a loop.
You were in a
I was in a
loop.
loop. I was in a... At the time, it seemed very fun. But as time went on, it wasn't so much fun. But yeah, so that was loop. 2000 and... What, 12, 13?
Possibly, yeah.
Maybe
I think I
over 10
played 3 or 4 times, so it would have
did.
been, yeah,
And you know why you came back all the time?
hopefully because I was good.
Well, that. But one of our guys, Chris Berry, fucking loves your track.
Yeah, Chris is a good lad.
He's a good lad. Big up Chris, who's just had another baby as well.
I saw, yeah.
Congratulations. But Chris was one of your biggest champions, man. Like I think he's the reason you came down to loop the first time.
Yeah, sick.
And then as soon as you came down, you'd proven yourself.
Yeah.
But those parties were good. Did you play it in House of Smith or in the Cut, or did you do both?
I think it was always the Cut.
The Cut.
that I played at, yeah.
Cool club,
Yeah, it
isn't
was
it?
a wicked club, yeah.
Well, anyway, we'll get into all this. I digress a little bit too early, but for those at home who don't really know much about you, who are you and what do you do?
Okay, I am James Dexter. I'm a DJ, producer, label owner, and I live here in London.
Oh, you do live here in
I do,
London.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
I was wondering how far you come because we just had someone in before who's come up down from Newcastle. So I was like, how far have you actually travelled? Not far then.
It's like half hour on the train.
Oh, sound.
So, yeah, it's fine.
I was going to give you your money back for the travel, and I'm not going to give you £3.20 back
Yeah,
for
we
the
don't need that.
TFL.
That's fine.
Well, that's so London. Whereabouts in London?
Southeast Crystal Palace.
How far? Yeah, I was a Battersea. I like Battersea. I lived in Hackney. I lived in Lower Clapton, and then we did Brixton. Brixton, loved Brixton. And then when we lived in London for 6 years, Battersea was probably the best place. But Battersea's now like crazy gentrified. You've got the Battersea Power Station, which was being built the whole time I was there. It's booting off in Battersea now, isn't it?
Yeah. I still haven't been since they've opened it up. I need to go check it out because people say it's really good.
Yeah.
There's lots going on. Yeah.
But anyway, so to kick things off, we had a conversation on the train on the way in about how to kind of introduce you, and obviously in terms of your name and what you do, that's nice and brief. But what we want to ask is why? Oh, good! See that catch?
Catch.
You see that catch?
Yeah.
I got it on camera as well. Fucking was it? Why do you do what you do?
Short answer is I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what?
I've always loved it. I've just always had a passion for music since as long as I can remember.
Well, let's go back to that then. So when did music really? Let's go back to your journey into music. So what does that look like?
I mean, the first thing was DJing when I was 14, 15.
Right.
I just remember, I don't know if it was seeing things on telly or in magazines, just thinking like DJing just looks like the best thing.
Right.
And yeah, I got a set of decks pretty early on. And
What decks?
Sound Lab, they were the belt drive sound, the ones that just stopped pretty much every time you touched them.
You have to shrink the belts down. Did you?
I didn't know to do that. No.
Yeah, so because eventually the belts get really stretched, so they just fuck.
I never
And
had
then
that issue on
you
mine,
tick.
but yeah.
Oh right, well, I had shit ones. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, and then it just became a thing. I was DJing at friends' birthday parties, and then just, I don't know. All I can remember is it was just all I spent my money on. Every bit of money I had was going spent on vinyl on the weekends, record shopping, and tape packs, everything back then, just to listen to new music. And then did friends' birthday parties. Then I started doing A-teams, all that kind of stuff because I was young at the time.
Yeah.
And then I entered some DJ competitions, which was at the time, it was like the DMC competitions. They ran one with like BBC Radio 1. So I did several of those. The first time I did it, I got, the first year I entered, I got to like the club round, but I had no idea about booth monitoring, sound delays, and it was a car crash.
Oh, shit.
I was like 15. It was for like an under 18s event that they hosted these.
Right.
Like, they were doing the party all night for the under 18s, and they'd have like an hour in between where they did this DJ competition for the people that got to the semi-finals, what it is. And it was a car crash. I didn't know what was going on.
There was a monitor there.
There was monitors in the booth, but because I was 15, I just didn't understand that what that was.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was in the club, I was hearing all this delay. I couldn't mix for coffee. It was a car crash. Yeah.
Wow.
But then I re-entered the next year and then came second overall in that competition.
Nice.
And then it just kind of progressed from then. I left school at 16 to do music production at college. Then I went to uni to do music production. So it's just always kind of followed the music route, really.
No, so you went straight into that. So I did a very similar thing, but I had like a small hiatus where I went and worked. So I went to college because my parents wanted me to go to college and do this fucking A-levels, which I didn't want to do. Failed them all. Biology, psychology, and fucking something shite. I don't know. Can't even remember it was that good. So I failed that. Then went to work for Barclays and then went to do music, access to higher education, then music production at uni. But I had like a 3 or 4, I was 20, so I had like 2 or 3 years working. But I'm interested to know what you thought of the music production at uni, because I did it. I got a first.
Nice.
And I couldn't get a job making teas or coffees in a fucking studio. And I was trying to produce dance music and trying to get on the ladder, but I couldn't get a job in any area of the music industry.
Yeah.
So did you go from your degree? What was the next step after that then?
So I was always DJing whilst I was doing my degree. And at the time, there was a party in London called Kidology. And it was one of the sort of bigger electro parties at the time, and that's what I was playing. So I got a job. Well, I started becoming a resident DJ for that party, and then the guy that ran the party also had a studio, so I started working at that studio. That studio got shut down quite soon after, well, maybe after a few months. So I ended up just engineering for people. So I never really kind of went into the industry aside of that, because it seemed quite short-lived that, you could go into a studio and they've been shut down left, right and centre. Yeah. And in that, I was just making music for other people anyway. Mm-hmm. So it kind of made me just realise, okay, well, maybe I could just do that. And I did that for maybe a year or two because I didn't really know what I wanted to make myself at the time. I was making dance music. It was all like house stuff. And then I just got a bit bored of making music for other people. And some of the tracks I'd done had got released on good labels at the time. One of them was on like Defected. I'm not going to say who it's for because people don't want to know. Yeah. But yeah, so then I was just like, I want to do this for myself. And it was also at the time where it was coming quite obvious that you couldn't just be a DJ anymore. The production was really like super, super important. So and that's when I just started grafting, and I just was making music 5 days a week, and then I was just DJing in the background. If I wasn't gigging, doing what I wanted to be playing, I was still playing in bars and clubs around London, just Friday, Saturday night music, because that paid the bills, and that allowed me to be able to be in the studio for the whole week without having to worry about other income.
I resonate with that because I was working 2 other DJ jobs when I was at uni, just to kind of pay the bills and stuff, because it pays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You could do 3 hours in a back room on a Monday at a student night and get 150 quid. I was like, that's fucking more than I'm going to get in any other job.
Yeah.
And yes, I've got to play, no offense, got to play like David Guetta style tunes, and it's pop music, but
You still play them, don't you, occasionally, don't you?
keep that down, will you? But I resonate with that because you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You kind of you're making a sacrifice in the short term. You're kind of swallowing your pride a little bit.
Yeah.
You can get to where you want to be, right?
It is. I think it's more ego, isn't it? That you kind of sit in there.
hugely, yeah.
But at the time, it was, as I said, it allowed me to be in the studio to make music during the week.
So your purpose was there, weren't it? Yeah. It's interesting hearing you say it, James, as well, because the previous guests that we've had on so far all share a common theme when asked that kind of question. And the one thing I'm noticing is the work ethic, is the hard work. And it's funny because obviously being somebody from this side of the fence, I'm not a DJ or a producer, but a lot of my friends are, and some of my friends now are international DJs that I've become friends with, and I can see all the hard work that goes on to just producing a track, the repeated sounds and being in there constantly. And when people see a DJ on Instagram or see a DJ in a club, they think, oh, that's mint. It's just like you turn up, you play, you get paid loads, and then you just go and chill and put your hands behind your head. That's not what goes on. So for me, it's a common theme that we hear on here. And some people's perception might just be that it's all glitz and glamour. And it sounds like you've had to, you said it before, graft.
Yeah. And I think you might find as well, most DJs would probably say DJing isn't even the work. Like it's everything around that that really, makes it. The graft in the studio is when it's going great is the best thing ever. But at the same time, when you're banging your head against the wall for 2 weeks because you can't get anything out that you like, could be the most frustrating thing. So, it's the balance. But the DJing I don't think is the work at all. That's the what's the best way to say it? That's the that's the joy of
I was going to say joy.
I think it's the reward.
Yeah,
to
it is
be
the
honest.
reward.
But for me, there's nothing better for me, and it has been the case for years, than just getting an email from my agent saying you've got a booking. And still to this day, I get the same buzz. But it doesn't,
Because someone's reached out to your agent, knowing they're going to pay money to have you go there and play your music because they value you.
Yeah,
it's a nice feeling.
and it's always been my. There's been goals along the way, but my goal for making music was so I would get gigs. Yeah. Because it was, it wasn't. I love the production side of it, but it's always been in my mind that's how you got gigs. You made music because being a good DJ is so hard to stand out now. Just alone, without productions. There's very, very few people that kind of shine through, I think, at the minute. There are people doing it, and like hats off to them because that's hard. I think
It's like Coxie, innit? Carl Cox and Marco Carolla are 2 people who stand out to me that don't produce.
But they've also come from a time where before that you
That's
didn't
what I'm
have
saying.
to. So I'm saying nowadays the people
industry
coming
changed,
through, the people that are coming through that haven't produced a record and are just good DJs. There are a handful of them, and hats off to them because you've really got to stand out with something special, I think.
Yeah. So like you're going off the back of what Jackie was asking you then, James, is he asked, why is it you do what you do? And you mentioned because you love it, obviously. So I'm assuming base levels, the music, you love music. And then as an aspiring DJ, you've seen DJing, going back to what you were saying before, and it's like, that looks really cool, I want to do it. And in a second, I'll ask you another question on the competition that you did, because it's interesting what you said about that. But you then realised, obviously, that you're going to have to produce. So then you then become a producer and you start producing tracks that are on some big labels. And then you own your own label as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what made you do that?
So there was a point where I was sending music out that I really believed in.
Right, okay.
Stuff just wasn't connecting with the labels. And then I'd maybe find that I'd have some releases scheduled, but then there might be a huge gap between the next release, or from the moment you sign a record to another label, they might say, okay, cool, but it's going to be 6 months before it comes out, or 8 months, because, you know, the delays, or not delays, sorry, the backlog of releases that they have can take so long. So I just knew I had music that I believed in, that I wanted to see the light of day, and also wanted to fill some gaps. So I started it. I started my label. It's 9 years in October.
2015.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, and it originally it was just a sole thing for me to release my music, but now it's become like a huge thing for me to be able to put music out from unknown artists.
Brilliant.
And give a platform for people that, you know, it might be their first release or second release, but I love nothing more than finding music that from an artist that people don't know or might not have heard of, because, you know, the music can still be just as good.
Yeah, I just listened to that clip of, is it Reload?
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to that. I was like, fuck, that's wicked. It's like that. You've got a very particular sound, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Actually, was we mentioned it before we started recording, was sound, and how these sounds, and it goes around like in cycles in fashion. We talked about this with many of the guests who come on.
Yeah, big time.
How do you cope with that very swift moving landscape of cycles of sounds, and like, well, how do you adapt? Do you stick with your guns? Like, what have you done over the years?
I think I do stick to my guns. I definitely, I don't know, it's a very complex situation, really, because you know, it's very easy for your mind to drift when you see what's going on in the outside world, or, you know, what's blowing off, what are other people doing it. But when I've kind of ventured into that, I tend to just, something doesn't feel right to me, you know, like I'll make a track and I'll be, okay, but it's got this in it, and that might be hype or whatever, but I don't connect with it maybe in the same way. So I found over the years what's maybe kept me consistent and hopefully current is that kind of taking influences, but without really going fully immersing in the hype. It's kind of do what I do, but take little pieces of what else is going on, but fusing it together so that it's still unique for me, and, you know, I think holds integrity to what I'm doing as well, which I think is, you know, I know is hugely important for myself. Yeah,
I think that's bang on, mate. And you see artists who come through and they have a moment in the spotlight and then drop off, and I feel a lot of those. I'm not going to mention any names, but you see them trying to do something different. They're trying to do something that's hot right now. Like, for example, when I was coming through 2015 when I got my Viva release, it just happened that the timing was perfect. Tech House was coming through, and I just managed to get a release on Viva at the right time and the right label when Viva Warriors was huge. And you think you're invincible, because I was like, this is how it's going to be forever. I'm just going to keep getting booked, and I'm going to keep getting bigger, and the fee's going to go up, and X, Y, and Z. And then you realize that your sound isn't cool in 3 years, but you're still trying to make the same thing. So then I'd be looking on Beatport and going, right, what's hot in the first top 10 tracks on Beatport charts? And the more I tried to do that and push to be this cool sound, the more I hated what I was doing.
Do you know what it is for me as well? Having done for many years playing music, you know, on a Friday, Saturday night, didn't want to be there, but it paid the bills, and it allowed me to fulfill the purpose of making music in the week. It also showed to me that I can be paid for DJing, but if I didn't like the music I was playing, I wouldn't enjoy it. Exactly. So I don't see the point, or to find myself in a situation where I go down the rabbit hole of what's hot and what's not, and trying to create that. I might create a track that could blow up, but if it's not something that I end up wanting to play, or people are going to come see me play because they know me for that record, I'm either going to let a lot of people down, or I'm not going to be happy myself because I'm going to play, you know, for them and not for me, because of that, you know. Let's say if you blow up from a hype record, people will come for that record, so they'll expect the whole set maybe to be of similar sound. Whereas, I like to think, and the feedback I get, the people that come to see me, they know what I'm going to play.
This episode is sponsored by Digital Ibiza Rentals, the go-to crew for all your needs in Ibiza. Digital have been the lead concierge service in Ibiza since 2016, and there's a pretty good reason for that too. It's not because they have lovely hair or because they're well-mannered lads. Actually, why are they the best?
It's in the script. They're paying us to say that.
Oh, awkward. Anyway, listen, if you go into Ibiza and you need yachts, villas, private transfers, car hire, club tickets, guest list, or even helicopters, Digital has you covered. And these guys specialise in DJ equipment and sound systems. Listeners of this show get 20% off their first use of the service.
Just quote Bear Chat on checkout and get 20% off.
So head over to their Instagram at Digital Ibiza Rentals or to their website, digitalibizarentals.com, and quote
Bear Chat
to get 20% off. By the way, invites to villa parties are welcomed. Nice one.
Oh, no, 100%.
Yeah.
They know what
So-
they're going to get. They're coming to see you. That's why you're getting booked.
and that's the music I love. So for me, there's no better feeling for that. And I feel like, yeah, if I kind of go too far in that direction, I'm just not going to enjoy the kind of outcome.
Yeah, that's transferable though. You're like, let's use an example of someone's career path. They might be in a very well-paid job, you know, all the bills covered, everything, but they're unhappy. They could be doing something. I've read it in the book Lost Connections, talking about a guy who was talking. He did something. He did a really high-powered job, but he would have been way happier. Yeah, no, it wasn't even a high-powered job. He was doing a monotonous job which paid well, and he was sick of his life. But he was talking about asking questions like, "What is it you enjoy doing?" Well, I enjoy fishing. Well, you could get a job setting up a little fishing company, whatever, down the road, or in Florida or wherever it was, and you'd be happier. You'd make way less money, but you'd be happier. And that's kind of what it comes to. You could be DJing. You could, if you were releasing tracks before you became James Dexter for big artists and doing the what's it called? It's not ghost producing or
Engineering. Yeah.
You were doing engineering. You could probably made a fantastic career out of that.
Yeah.
Right? Very well paid.
Yeah.
But you're not being true to yourself. You're not making the records you want to make. You're not gigging. You said the gigs are really important to you. Now you're getting booked, So
Yeah.
which brings me on to the next thing I want to speak about was you just did a South America tour, is that right?
Yeah, so I was in Mexico and Ecuador and Guatemala.
What do you like about South America?
I mean, the energy of the people when you're DJing there, there's nowhere else like it in the world. For me, I think. I think going back to what we were just saying about, people loving what you do, and like, I feel like my style of music and the way that I play and the music that I make is really well received and understood there. And it's like, I feel when I'm there, I can truly play myself, or how I like to play 100%.
Wow.
Just this, the energy from the people is amazing out there.
Do you know what's interesting about that? I'm not going to name any names because the name keeps cropping up, but I'm just going to say we've had an artist on who's been in the industry for coming up to 4 decades now, and he said exactly the same thing that you've just said. You might not remember, Jackie, but he was playing in South America and he said he just loves the energy and the vibe. Exactly what you've just said.
Exactly.
And he also said, and the question Jackie asked was, why is it that you still do what you do? And he said, because I love doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I can see with you a second ago when you was answering another question, I seen you say it wasn't good for my soul, I think you said something like that. And I can tell how much music means to you and the journey of why you've done what you've done, but understanding the different pillars that have come in the industry that you've had to jump on and leapfrog to do what you're doing now. And I like, on the way here, I'd not heard any of your music, but I have, as it turns out, but I didn't know I'd listened to any of your music. So I listened to Little Helper 2371, I think the track
Little
was.
Helper, I forgot about Little Helper.
Right. There was loads on there, but I just clicked on the first
Yeah.
one, boom. Let me listen. And that's when I put my headphones in on the thing.
Oh, right.
You probably
Is that what you were
thought,
doing?
doing blanking me. I just put the headphones in. I had all the ideas at that point, so I put the headphones in. That's why it's all right. Anyone listening, I know we've got a quote now that's running around in this community, but yeah, I put them in after I'd done my work. But anyway, going back to the track, it was wicked.
Oh, it's such a tune.
No.
Yeah,
Listen, I love music. Like I said, I'm a DJ, but I'm not a professional DJ.
Yeah.
And I've followed artists around the globe for 25 years now. And yeah, I've heard your music for sure because Lazarus, Corolla, Capriati are playing stuff that you've got. So I know 100%. When I listen to that sound, for me, it was just really, really deep, really rounded, and I could feel the energy of the track. And I know I've definitely heard that this kind of music coming from you before.
Wicked,
so what's it like when you had them kind of artists? Because they're, for me, all 3 of them have their niche. Lazarus has been in the game for a long time. Musically, he knows so much. Capriati, for me, very recently, well, not recently, but in recent years, did a back-to-back with Louis Vega, a vinyl-only set in Cielo in New York. And I know that's a big shout because Louis Vega's old school and that guy can rock the decks. So for Capriati to do that, and obviously Corolla, we know what that Musicon brand and community's doing. So what was it like for you to see your music being played off them artists?
It's it's humbling. I think there's so many DJs that have played my music that I think you kind of get caught off guard a little bit sometimes if you never know who's listening. And then all of a sudden you might just get tagged in a video and it's like, oh, this guy's playing this. But the Damien Lazarus thing, he actually reached out to me to do a remix for Crosstown Rebels. And that was the first contact that I even had from him. I didn't even know he was playing any of my stuff or, was it even into the music. And then just one day I got a message from him on Facebook and then just like, what?
It's a wicked label as well.
Doesn't seem real at the time. But yeah, I think for me, it always just feels like a bit of a nod.
Yeah,
it's like okay, keep going. You're doing the right thing. And
we're almost communicating through music because two of my biggest releases came from other DJs playing my tracks. So I didn't realize that Steve Lawler was playing 19, which is a record released in a label in Australia. And I got videos sent all the time.
Unbelievable artist, Lawler.
Yeah, amazing. And then I was tagging him on Twitter. I was hammering him. He must have been sick, and he was like, "Oh fuck it, just give me the EP." And then the next one, I think it was Fisher. Fisher was playing my track Mama, but it wasn't. I didn't know until someone sent me. So you're almost creating these connections with people in the industry, like you're saying, not knowing. You get the nod, and you're like, right. Then you reach out, and you would never have sparked up that conversation, or that connection wouldn't have been made if that music wasn't in the ether. Like Corolla was playing my track at Amnesia, and I was like, fuck. And then when I was able to share that track, then more people saw it, and it's just this crazy network of connections you can create with minimal effort. You put your music out into the ether and just see what happens, and catches on. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it's like what Shaq was saying earlier on the previous show was, and what I've found as a music lover and why I've always gone back for more is the connection. I'm stood on Space Terrace back in the day and I'm surrounded by people from Russia, Latvia, Mexico, wherever. They don't speak a word of English, but the one thing they speak is that beat, boom, boom. And I just always found it like, in terms of getting people together, it's amazing for that. And obviously during the what went on with lockdown and stuff around the world, one of the big disconnects was that, because there was so many people, millions of people, billions of people probably out there who rely on that weekly pilgrimage or gathering to be connected, and it wasn't there. So for music, for me, that's the essence and the beauty of music, and that's why I've always loved music so much, is that connection and the ability. We're talking about it here today, and whilst it's still in my head, James, actually going back to what you were saying before. So when you went to do the music competition, which was really interesting to hear, and the first time you would say it didn't go well, so what people would say is a failure. A lot of people out there, when they hit a brick wall or when they go to do something that they really want to do, but they fail miserably at it, some people turn and walk away. Yeah. You went back and you came second, I think you said, from memory, in the competition.
Yeah, in the competition, yeah.
Talk to us about that. Like, how did you feel first time round? And then what was your strategy for getting back there?
Truthfully, it was a long time ago. We're talking nearly 20 years ago.
Yeah, go on.
But I at the time, I don't feel like it was ever anything that was going to hold me
Didn't bother
back.
you?
Yeah, maybe.
Persistence.
No.
I think it was just one of those things. I was just like, okay, that was shit. Yeah. Let's do it again and make sure it's not. I'm pretty sure what I did in between, I did actually have a couple of gigs on some like under 18 parties. Right. Playing in clubs before the next year of the next event. So when I did actually go and do the next rounds in the following year, I had actually played in the club, so I kind of understood.
You had your monitors boxed off.
Yeah. But I remember for those competitions, I would just lock myself in my bedroom and it was just playing. You literally had like a 10-minute set to do as much as you could, which, not being like a turntablist, I was just playing like dance music. But I would literally just mixing records as quick as possible, and I just stacked them up on top of each other on the decks, so I didn't have to take them off.
Oh, because you're playing vinyl as well.
Yeah, I was playing vinyl at the time.
You're not USB or you
So I'd literally have like 5 or 6 records stacked on top of each other.
Oh, no way.
Because I could take it off and put it in the back. And that allowed me to catch the next mix within like 16 bars or 32 bars of the next track.
Wow.
Because otherwise, to take the record out, find the right side, like in 10 minutes, I could barely do anything.
With Jeff Mills style.
Yeah, so I just remember just practice. That's all I did. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's, again, I asked that question just because, for anybody who's watching the show and listening, anybody that's an aspiring DJ, I'm touching over this theme just because it's common amongst the guests that we've spoke to so far. The persistence and the drive, and also, you said it before, the love for it. When Jackie asked you went, because I love what I do.
Yeah.
So I think in answer to what you're saying there and looking at it, you really seen something that you really knew was kind of your destiny, so to speak, and I would really want to do that, and you've worked really hard to do it. I think working 7 days a week, so working DJing 2 days a week at the weekend to put bread and butter on the table, and then producing countlessly hours and hours and hours, and obviously you touched over it where you're doing it, you're not doing too great at it, kind of like writer's block. You're just still going and going, so all that hard work. So I think it's just something to touch base with people that might be in that circumstance where they're trying to produce and they're hitting a brick wall, or they've not been given that shot yet at a gig. What your message translates is to keep the hard work going.
I mean, 100%. I mean, I'd say my hard work is a different balance now, because understanding as you get older, just finding balance in everything that you do, work and life balance. But those early days when I was like 16, 17, I was in my bedroom making music, and I was probably in that room for like 24 hours a day, just sleeping, get up, go for a run, and I was making music all day. That was it, like just relentlessly. So yeah, it obviously has changed now. I'm still in the studio 5 days a week.
Wow.
I'll take a Monday off if I've been traveling, but I just don't. It's what I love doing, and I feel a little bit lost if I'm just sitting at home, not just for the sake of it. Don't get me wrong, I have a day off. A purposeful day off is very, very, very useful, but just taking a day off because I don't feel like it doesn't. I don't do that.
Purposeful day off.
Purpose. Yeah. Oh, why?
Like
what is our why and living that purpose?
And it's like what I was talking to you about, I think it was Branson who said it a while back, was that if you love what you do, then you don't really work a day in your life. And I think that I can see that from you. And I think the progression as well, going into being a label owner and having your own kind of sound and niche, it's inspiring, for people to see it, starting off in your bedroom. And there's other stories here, like James Abila. He was a bedroom DJ before, he became a DJ, but, you've come from a time and an era from the transition in the industry to where you're at now is definitely inspiring for people. Yeah. Do you have a family? Do you have?
I have a wife and a dog and a cat.
Wife, dog and a cat.
Wife, dog and a cat. We have our own family.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm a new dog owner actually. So he's only a year old.
So how do you balance all that on with being on the road and then being in the studio producing? Do you get it? Have you got your own way of balancing things?
We've got we have a brilliant relationship. We both understand. Like my wife, she's an actor. She also does music as well. We have a great understanding of the industries, and we've always said, we're not choosing work over the person. It's just something that you have to do. It's just a case of just get your work done, and we enjoy everything in between. But yeah,
kid.
Sorry?
I said that's wicked.
A kid. I was like, no.
No. That's why I asked you about children, because some DJs and some artists we spoke to have got children, and it's a balancing act. So I didn't know your story if you had children, and obviously with what you're saying with a relationship and cats and dogs, you've got a life. Everybody, like I said, some people and myself falling into that category will sometimes see DJs and artists and think, oh, it's mint, black coffee or whatever. Oh, you see them flying around on a private jet and life's mint, and you see all the gigs. Oh yeah, they're getting paid loads, and doing what you doing, but you've got a life as well. Yeah. So it's how you balance it.
I've always felt like that as well. I've always felt that for me, as much as I love the DJing, and I've always loved, going out to parties and stuff, but I've always wanted to crack on a Monday. I've always wanted to do something else, and enjoy life, and not just, I'm fully devoted to this. It's all I'm gonna do, but I also appreciate everything else outside of it, and finding the balance for that is super important in my life.
Have you always had that mentality, even when you were starting out?
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, obviously, when I was younger, it would have been a bit more loose, but I think I've just always enjoyed finding the balance and
Because you mentioned there, you were talking about years ago, and you'd always get up and go for a run on a Monday. So you mentioned running. Has exercise always been a very vital part of your routine?
Yeah.
Has.
Again,
Nice.
as long as I can remember, I think since probably about maybe 17, I've always run. And then the last sort of 10 years, gymming as well. But yeah, I mean, 3-4 times a week I'm running, twice a week I'm at the gym, maybe 3 times. But yeah, it's like, that is my number one actually for my I say life, but yeah, everything falls into place if I'm staying fit, I think. Like, and I prioritize it. Even when I go away on tour, I'll go for runs, I'll go to the gym. I won't hit it as hard as I normally do because I think it's super important to rest as well when you're traveling as much as you do. But I always prioritize it.
I knew when you said running, I knew that would be an answer like that, and that's why I wanted to ask you. So we got that answer for people who are listening.
I heard it. And I thought I'm gonna lay off James a little bit. I'll let Jackie ask this one. Do you like running? Yeah.
But
I heard that. Yeah, I love fitness.
Tell us how good it is.
Yeah.
It's because it was something that I never did when I was younger. I never valued the gym. I never valued exercise. I never valued the benefits because I was never it was never ingrained in me.
Yeah.
And looking back now, obviously hindsight's 2020, but I wish I'd done it differently in that respect. I think I saw a video of The Rock saying, anywhere he goes straight to the gym. If it's 3 a.m, don't give a fuck, straight in the gym. And maybe not hit it as hard, but like just get that energy, get those serotonin levels up. And I feel like if I hadn't just been on this like mission to the afters all the time, like it would have been a little bit different. It really, because it's all energy, right? You're putting your energy into whatever path you choose. So whether that's getting on it or drinking or not sleeping and partying, or it's getting to the gym, getting some sleep, eating some good food, going for a run, whatever it is. I think it's important, and I really wanted to ask James that question because I think anyone coming through today, it doesn't matter if you're DJing or you're trying to be a lawyer, I don't give a fuck what it is. It's the pillar. It is the priority. Like, what did you say? It's your priority, right?
100%. Yeah. Like, I prioritize it over everything, to be honest, because for me, actually, it mostly stems from sleeping. Like, I find if I don't run for 2 or 3 days in a row, I lie in bed and I'm just like, brain's just ticking. I can't switch it off.
Right. Yeah.
Go for a run. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I prioritize my sleep as well. So it's like running is the key for my sleep, and then that's how I say everything falls into place from that.
So it sounds like you never, I'm going to speculate here, but based on you being a long-standing runner and avid exerciser, you never leaned into the darker side of the industry, which is like the drink and the partying and all that sort of stuff, or was it?
I did my time in the trenches.
Yeah. when you were younger?
No, I think like when I was younger, when I first started getting bookings, when I was like 19, 20, all my mates were coming out to all my shows.
Yeah.
It was just like fun times.
Yeah.
But again, there was like, I was 19, didn't really have any responsibilities, I was living at home with my parents. It was, but I would still get up and go for a run on a Monday morning. And that just,
wow.
I think just always gave me a mindset of like, okay, you can do what you're going to do, but you're still going to go for a run.
Yeah.
Still going to
whatever.
crack on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so it's sure.
I think that has obviously like, I don't know, installed a mindset of, I don't want to say control, but what's the word I'm looking for? Mind's gone blank.
I don't
what
know.
am I thinking?
I know what you're trying to say, but it's kind of, it all comes back down to work ethic, right? So it doesn't matter what the fuck you've done. You've got to get it's medicine. You get the medicine in, and you can do X, Y, and Z.
Self-control. That's
self-control.
Yeah, just having good self-control
discipline
and discipline.
Yeah.
And I think definitely when I was younger, I would enjoy myself a lot, but equally, I was always able to go, maybe not this weekend.
See, that's powerful because I could never do that.
Yeah.
But there were times, I'm sure, where I could have like partied every weekend, but I just felt like I could see where that will go. So I just was like, okay, not this weekend.
Awareness.
I was aware. Yeah.
We've been talking about this. We talk about this ad nauseum over the last, you've been at mine for like 8-9 days, you need to go home. I'm fucking sick of you, to be honest, Pete. I've had enough.
I hoovered up for you before. Cheeky git.
But we're talking about awareness, and if
being
you're
aware of being aware.
If you're aware if you're aware that something's wrong and you're having a battle within yourself, you haven't lost the battle. It's when you're not aware and you're ignorant to the fact that something's going on, that's when the battle's lost and there's a problem. But you were clearly aware, whereas if you use me as an example, everyone else was wrong. Like I was like, I can party, I can fucking do what I want. Like, chill out, you know?
Do you know what? I also found at the time as well, like, from just saying no to partying on a weekend or just going to a gig with the mindset, right, I'm just going to gig and go home or go to the hotel. Like, actually, the buzz of just going home or going to the hotel and being like, yeah, sweet.
You smashed it.
Yeah. I had maybe a beer and that was it. And then waking up going, okay, cool, yeah, I'm in control of this. Or, you know, I think that was something to be aware of at the time.
But you never fell into any like dark patterns and stuff like that, which is amazing, I think.
Yeah. So like with that, James, listening to your story of where you are today now and where it all kind of started and your drivers per se, and it sounds to me like you've had a deep kind of ritual for yourself that works for you. So it kind of almost falls into that bracket of self-care, you know, making sure, and I get what you're saying with going for a run and doing that. For you, it's the catalyst for your day and your week, and you know that if you don't do that, which path that's going to go down, where it could lead and where it could maybe compound and go. And you strike me as somebody who's pretty business minded as well, I think, in terms of, you know, doing a label and progressing from bedroom DJ to DJ, then DJ, producer, label, owner. And your commitment now is similar to what previous DJs, and again, one of them who's been in the game a long time, said exactly the same thing. You know, I won't do no party, I'll do my gig, I might have a shot or whatever, but I always say to myself, what am I going to be like tomorrow? And I don't want to be that person.
What person do I want to be tomorrow?
What person do I want to be tomorrow? And you strike me very, very similar with this artist in particular. So pretty business minded. Is that right?
It's Roger Sanchez. We know.
Do you know what? Like, I don't know, because you say business minded. I don't want to sound cheesy, but I would say just I've always let things happen organically.
Yes.
So obviously there is a business mindset to approaching certain things, but I've always been one. I'll probably have the thought about doing something a lot longer before I actually take action on it, because I like for things to happen organically. So like now, you know, the main focus is actually building the brand in doing events. So I've got someone helping me with the events, but yeah, we've actually started to do some parties in the last couple of years, and that's now really, I want to push everything inwards in terms of like releases. I'm only really releasing on my label to help kind of build everything up a bit more, and then we're really focused on doing the events as well now. But that again has been organic. It's just kind of when the times felt right, I kind of will lean into it. Yeah, so not pushing a square peg in a round hole, just allowing it to come to you and you to go to it, but without forcing it or saying anything. Yeah.
Well, are you grinning? Tell him the reason why you resonate with that, because it's powerful.
I don't know what you're on about.
About this?
Oh,
this.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It makes complete sense.
No, I know. Well, again, that's why I was saying it, because from my side, listening to you, James, definitely, I think you're business minded, because you're having you're not just staying as a DJ, you're harnessing something that you love, and then you're progressing with it. So even now, I didn't know about you doing these events and the way that you're allowing that to happen. And I imagine that if you're forcing things on the sideline when you're trying to be creative in the studio, I imagine that can have a negative impact. So I think you have a very balanced approach as an artist, but as a person as well. I can tell with your relationship, and obviously the way that them two things complement each other with is it your wife, or is it your wife? Yeah. And obviously you've got a life and cats and dogs and all the beautiful stuff. You seem to have your finger on the pulse and very balanced. But from hearing from other artists and people who've been in the game for decades, you've got similar traits for longevity in the game. And
that's the plan, yeah.
Exactly. We're getting somewhere. But that's how all this kind of, you know, what me and Jackie are doing, it wasn't planned. This was just something that happened organically, is the word that's been used even. leave it in, it's organic.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff, it just kind of happens. So yeah, it's interesting. And also, James, I've read that you've got a connection with Sydney. Is it Home and Sash?
Yes. So the party Sash in Sydney. Yeah.
Do you know James Parker at all?
I don't
think you do. You know?
Oh yeah, because Parker played Sash, didn't he?
That's what I'm saying. Parker's got, and the only reason I've written that down is I know about Sash, Sydney and Sunday, Sash as a whole, is because James Parker, who's a friend of mine, used to work for me, but now he's a DJ and
Big
producer.
up Parker.
Right.
And same thing, he's up at 5 a.m. He's in the studio grinding it out. I just wondered if you guys knew each other or crossed paths.
No,
but no,
I don't know him.
Okay.
But, the Sash guys are cool though.
Right. Okay.
Those parties look wicked. I've never been.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been to Australia for those parties. I've been 3 times. I'm hopefully going back at the end of this year.
Right. Okay.
But every time I've done it, I've just gone for the weekend.
Really?
So it's been like full on. But
You literally just start to adjust.
It's really made like the trips only about the parties, which I think has made it quite special. But I've gone there, maybe landed on Thursday, and I've done a gig Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sash on Sunday.
Right,
Or maybe
okay.
Friday and done 3 gigs. But yeah, I mean, even it is a serious slog getting there, but it is so worth it because the parties are sick.
You can't adjust to the time difference, surely. You must adjust.
Do you know what though? The thing with that is that because I'm up all night DJing when I'm there, like, every time I've been there, my body kind of is still in the same sleep pattern as it would be.
Wow.
So it hits you when you get home, but when you're out there, because you're up all night playing anyway. So, but yeah, it's worth it because those parties are wicked.
So touring, let's go back to that then. Touring.
Yeah.
How do you? I mean, we've talked about the routines in terms of like getting the gym in and stuff. Do you enjoy the traveling?
Over the last few years, I've felt it more. So I love going and doing what I do, but I find the bits in between can be quite tiring, And like I said, I love being at home. I love being around my wife. I love being with my dog, my cat. But I love what I do. But yeah, the traveling is the work. So that's what I see, as the work. I always try and, with my agents, condense the tours as much as possible. So rather than going away for like 3 weeks and play 1 gig one weekend, one another, we'll try and do like 3 or 4 gigs on one weekend, another 3 on another weekend. So I'm only away for that amount of time, so I pack it in.
Right.
It's a clever way of doing it. It's a business-minded way of doing it.
He's definitely business-minded. 100%. That's why I asked it.
But there were times, like when I was younger, it's like, cool, we'll go away for 2-3 weeks. And again, if you've got like less responsibilities or,
no responsibilities,
then you could just be away. But no, I love my life at home. So, truth is, I don't want to be away for longer than I have to, but I love what I'm doing when I'm away.
Yeah.
That's probably the way to simplify it. But
I resonate with that. I didn't realise how much I love being at home until I was forced to be at home in lockdowns, and then realised, fuck, I've been missing all this. And also, you don't stop, do you, when you're on the road? If you're doing it cleverly like you do, that's great. I was going to Australia and Bali and New Zealand for 6 weeks and just doing like 2 gigs here, then 1 gig the weekend after, and then not really planning it properly. But it sounds like you've got a pretty good handle on it. And the way you are treating it like a job, I think, I can't remember who I spoke to, but like someone said, it's Mark Knight, music business. It's a business. Treat it like a business, and also create your octopus. You've got your gigs, you've got your label. You're not just doing, I just need to perform. Some people just do 16 gigs a month and they don't do anything else. And that's fine, but it's draining on your body. And you said you finding it.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say you're finding it. You just said before you're finding it harder as time goes on. You get older.
Yeah. I've also been someone that's found it very tricky to do stuff outside of the studio. So you get a lot of people that can get their laptop and they'll be on a plane, make a beat. They'll be in the airport, make a beat, doing admin. I'm someone that I feel like when I'm away, I find it really hard to just, engage in that work mindset.
Okay.
So I do feel like when I'm away for tour that I am not working. So I do feel like, even just replying to emails and stuff, I feel like when I'm away, maybe it is because I've condensed the traveling so much. So there's not much time to kind of sit and do that. But I just feel like for me, every decision I make in terms of production, releasing a track from someone, it has to go through my studio. So when I'm outside and away from that, I do feel like I'm kind of missing out on that work. I should see it as taking a break, but I don't know.
I get that. It's like I used to do it. I used to go in the office on a Saturday, and Mish had always said, like, "Why are you going in when you can just do it from your laptop here?" But I had to be in the glass room, you know, sat at my desk, because the concentration levels are there. So I can definitely relate to that. And just on that note, James, like, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
37.
37?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So you're around, well, you're definitely around Jackie's age bracket, but around my age bracket. So during your period then, just thinking out loud with this one, because you've seemed to have a real good balance for yourself of what you're doing, and you seem very switched on with obviously your fitness and your well-being, but then you're gigging and you're traveling, being in the studio, having a wife with, you know, a home life that you said you love.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this constant kind of tug of balancing,
Yeah.
because you love the music, but you also love this, and you seem to have quite a good balance on that. Has there ever been any periods throughout your career where it's been pretty dark for you, like where it's been tough, would you say? Has there been any of that?
Not really from sort of the career point of view. Like
Right.
the sort of dark period I had in my life was actually over COVID.
Right, yeah.
I mean, we can
Makes
touch on it,
sense.
but my dad passed away in COVID.
Same for me.
And had that have happened whilst I was actively touring, I mean, I got depressed when it happened. A lot of things were going on, but had that have happened when I was touring, God knows what it would have been like.
Right.
But at least I was at home, I was grounded, I was around the people that I love.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the darkest time, but that was totally a side of music, really. But yeah, I think fortunately I've always had a hold on everything that's going on.
Yeah, it sounds it, which is why I asked the question. And again, and you know, sorry to hear the news and thoughts on that, but that's what Lloyd was talking about as well, wasn't he, when he was on? Yeah, similar period, and same for me, as we mentioned before. So
in 3 episodes, you've had 3 people all losing their dads in COVID.
In COVID, yeah.
I mean, for me, I feel like that, you know, not that you ever want it to happen, but the timing of that was, it allowed me to just stop.
Yeah.
I had no choice.
Sounds like you don't stop as well.
Yeah,
like you're
but,
always
you
going.
know, I was forced to stop.
Yeah, okay.
But it was the timing, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for answering it. Yeah, appreciate that. It'll resonate with a lot of people for sure. Yeah.
Well, that brings us on to the feature.
I did the last one. I'll let you do this one.
All right, cool. So on this podcast, we have a feature called Pass the Book.
Yep.
So the previous book hands a book to the next guest, not knowing who it is.
Previous guest.
Previous guest is Shaq.
Okay.
And he has recommended The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Have you read it?
I haven't read this.
You
no.
haven't read
No,
it?
I haven't.
What was his line? You didn't write it down, he told you.
No, he did tell us. I didn't write it down.
He's in the room.
But he's here now. Shaq's going to kill me, because me and Shaq are like bros now. You know, Terminator 2 Judgment Day is our number 1 movie.
Shout it over. What was the reason?
It will make you evolve as a sovereign being.
That's
It will make you evolve as a sovereign being.
That's it.
So yeah,
Was I supposed to bring a book?
No.
No.
What happens now is you'll give us a book recommendation for the next guest,
Yeah,
who's
cool.
awesome, by the way, and you won't know who it is.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, the goal of this is to kind of put a bit of emphasis on the power of the power, not no pun intended, the power of reading. I never actually read anything since the age of 19 up until lockdowns, and it's been really important to me. And I know, Pete, you value reading a lot. Do you read a lot, James?
I do. Yeah. I kind of go through phases with it. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm quite heavily dyslexic, so I never ever enjoyed reading growing up. Really bad reading at school.
Yeah,
and then it was actually my wife that introduced me to these kind of books, and just all of a sudden it felt like I wasn't reading, it just felt like someone was talking to me. That's that's how reading should be, right? But I've always struggled, you know, storybooks, whatever. I just was not interested. So I do read, and these are the types of books that I read.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Something there for being on the road then, isn't it? The power.
Well, I don't know. You might need to get a fucking suitcase to take that with you.
You have to pay extra for that. But
Yeah, definitely. You look at that on Ryanair hand luggage, will you? Well,
50 quid.
well, James, thank you so much for coming down.
thank you for having me.
Really interesting
Much
conversation.
appreciated.
A lot of value in there. And,
Brilliant.
yeah. Really, really good.
super inspiring. Wicked.
Thanks,
thank
mate.
you guys.
Nice
Thank
one.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.